Welcome back, everyone, to the Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization show, the home of Googlization Nation, where we talk with HR and business thought leaders about the crazy, never normal shift going on all around us. Our goal is to bring you ways to reimagine tomorrow and explore the ever-changing convergence of people, business, and technology.
It's time for another deep dive, and you know me, always got to pick something kind of out there, right?
Always keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
Well, this time I think I've really outdone myself because we're going to try to untangle this whole never normal thing that everyone keeps talking about.
Yeah, I've heard that phrase floating around. Not sure I entirely get it, though. Like, what does that even mean?
Well, that's what we're here to figure out, right? And lucky for us, we've got a whole stack of podcasts, articles, white papers, the usual suspects.
So we're going full deep dive. Love it. Let's see if we can make sense of it all.
Exactly. It's getting kind of crazy out there.
Yeah, kind of crazy is one way to put it.
I mean, look at this McKinsey article, Developing a Resilient, Adaptable Workforce for an Uncertain Future.
Oh, yeah. This one, they're basically saying a lot of companies are in denial.
Big time. Only 23% think their workforce is actually ready for 2030.
And get this. McKinsey Health Institute found only 23% of employees feel resilient and adaptable.
Wow, so both sides are kind of unprepared.
Yeah, it's a big disconnect. Makes
you wonder, right? Like, how do you feel about all this change happening at work? Are you in that 23%?
That's the question, isn't it?
Because this isn't just some theoretical thing, it's real.
Oh, absolutely. And this McKinsey article has some pretty eye-opening stats.
Like that one from their talent trend survey.
Yeah, only 16% of global employers are investing in things like adaptability and continuous learning.
It's wild. They know there's a skills gap, but
they're not really doing much about it. It's like they're stuck in the past.
If Josh Drean was here...
The employment is dead guy.
Exactly. I think you'd be laughing at these numbers.
Oh, totally. He's been saying for years that the old way of working is broken.
Companies and people aren't getting what they need.
Flexibility, autonomy, ownership, it's all missing.
And Drean would say these companies clinging to the old ways are just pushing talent away.
Right into the arms of companies who are trying new things.
Like DAOs, those decentralized autonomous organizations.
Where everyone has a say and a stake in how things run.
And you get rewarded based on your contribution, not just showing up.
Like Talent Pair, that company Drean talks about, they're already doing this.
That's a whole different way to think about work.
Totally flips the script.
So we've got DAOs, contribution-based compensation, the death of traditional employment. It's a lot.
It is. It really is.
I bet John Sanei would tell us to take a deep breath and chill.
Sanei, the futurist guy.
Yeah, the one who helps leaders navigate all this crazy change.
Oh, right. He'd probably say we need to focus on staying calm.
Because freaking out about the future isn't going to help anyone.
Sanei talks a lot about emotional regulation, especially with things changing so fast.
So instead of resisting, we got to learn to ride the wave.
And that means unlearning a lot of old stuff.
It's funny, we say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
But Sanai's like, hold my beer, watch this. He's saying we can change, we can adapt.
It's all about rewiring our brains for this new world.
And I think both Drean and Sanei would agree on that.
It's like they're saying, what you do isn't as important as how you think.
Exactly, it's a mindset shift.
Which reminds me of that McKinsey finding about psychological safety.
Oh yeah, that one was interesting.
Employees who feel safe and supported are way more likely to be engaged and innovative.
Like 6 times more likely.
It makes sense though, right? If you feel safe, you're more likely to take risks.
But think about it in the context of DAOs.
Oh, interesting point.
With everyone having a stake in the outcome, psychological safety becomes even more important.
Because you can't really collaborate if everyone's afraid to speak up.
And that's where Sanai's idea of a calm nervous system comes in.
Trying to run a DAO full of stressed out people would be a nightmare.
Total chaos. You need that emotional intelligence to make it work.
So it's like psychological safety plus love, emotional intelligence.
Those are the 2 key ingredients.
It's like one lets you experiment and the other helps you deal with the bumps along the way.
Remember that travel company example from the article?
The one that created a more psychologically safe environment?
Yeah, they saw huge improvements in everything.
Safety, retention, innovation, engagement, it all went up.
Proof that this stuff actually works.
And Drean would probably argue it works even better in a decentralized structure.
Where people feel empowered and valued.
They bring their best selves to the table.
And that's when the magic happens.
So we've got all these pieces fitting together.
Psychological safety, emotional intelligence, DAOs, contribution-based compensation.
And all this is happening while technology is changing everything at warp speed.
AI, automation, The nature of work itself is transforming.
Which brings us to something McKinsey highlighted. Leadership.
They're saying leaders have got to be the catalysts for change.
They need to walk the walk.
If they want resilience and adaptability, they have to embody it themselves.
And Sanei would probably say they need that calm nervous system too.
Not just for themselves, but to create a ripple effect throughout the organization.
So it's setting the tone.
Creating a culture where people feel safe to take risks and fail forward.
I can hear Drean now. Don't just model the behavior, blow up the old systems.
He'd say create something that actually empowers people.
So instead of command and control, leaders need to become more like facilitators.
Helping guide and enable, not dictate.
It's a pretty big shift from how most companies operate.
It is, but if we want to thrive, it's a shift we have to make.
And it starts with each of us asking, what kind of leader do I want to be?
Are we clinging to the past or embracing the future?
And McKinsey also talked about social learning.
How teams that learn together are more likely to adapt.
It makes sense, right? Collective intelligence, bouncing ideas off each other.
Sanei calls it economies of consciousness.
We're moving away from valuing just material wealth.
And more towards valuing connection and collaboration.
It's not just about individual expertise anymore.
We need empathy, communication, the ability to tap into the collective wisdom.
Like we're all part of one giant brain.
And that ties in with Drean's vision of DAOs.
Everyone's success is tied together.
So everyone's motivated to do their best and support each other.
It's a pretty powerful model.
And so as you navigate all this change,
think about how you can contribute to a more collaborative, adaptable, human-centered future.
It's a future where technology helps us, not defines us.
Where work is about passion and meaning, not just punching a clock.
Where resilience and adaptability aren't just buzzwords.
They're the keys to unlocking our full potential.
And if all this feels overwhelming, remember what Sanei said.
Stay calm, be curious, and don't be afraid to unlearn old stuff.
So as we wrap up this section,
we want to leave you with a question.
If economies of scale are fading and economies of consciousness are emerging, what can you bring to the table? What skills? What perspective? What are you passionate about?
It's not something you'll find in some old textbook or corporate training, that's for sure.
It's a journey figuring out what makes you uniquely you, and then how that fits into this new world.
And yeah, it can be kind of scary, all this unknown.
Which is why that calm nervous system is so important.
If we're all freaked out, we'll miss the opportunities.
We'll be so busy holding on to the old ways, we won't see the new paths opening up.
And those new paths, they might not be super clear at first.
It's going to take some guts, some experimenting to find your way.
But hey, that's part of the adventure, right? Who wants everything to be predictable?
Totally. It's about embracing the unknown, the uncertainty.
And I think that's what Drean and Sanei are both getting at.
It's about owning your future, realizing you have a say in how this all plays out.
You're not just along for the ride.
And that's a powerful thing to remember, especially when it feels like things are changing a million miles an hour.
So as we wrap up this whole deep dive, we want you to walk away with a sense of possibility.
The future of work might be uncertain, but it's also full of potential.
We can break free from the old ways, create something totally new.
Something that reflects who we are, something that lets us shine.
So keep learning, keep connecting, and keep diving deep.
The future is waiting for you to shape it.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization. Be sure to listen to the podcast and follow us on YouTube.